The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm David Shearman. Welcome to Politically Speaking on Rogers TV. We're still involved in COVID-19 programming, and of course this is a shortened edition of Politically Speaking. But Barb, it's good to have you here with us today. I know that things have changed. Oh, and I should mention that if people wonder about the screen freezing that you see when Barb is talking, that's a technical issue. Nothing we can do. If it's kind of a do not adjust your set, and the audio should be just fine. By the way, Barb, you're in good company. The only other person who has screen freeze is Bill Walker.
Well, that is truly good company. Thanks so much for having me again, and on this very, very summer day. This is quite remarkable. I hope everyone is staying hydrated and safe and cool.
Yes, absolutely, Barb. Now, Meaford has certainly been feeling the effects of COVID-19, although our situation in Grey Bruce is considered excellent from Dr. Ara's reports. But you've had some changes that have happened in Meaford. Day camps have been canceled, the pools will be closed, those kinds of things. What are the big changes that have happened?
Well, certainly that is the big issue. Everyone is waiting for this recovery, for this getting back to some semblance of what used to be normal. It is really a challenge, I have to say, and I know that our emergency plan and crew are really working hard to come up with a recovery plan. The first job that they've done, and this recovery group consists of all the staff folks that have responsibilities within our operational plan, but it is also a joint effort with the Chamber of Commerce to assist the business community with their recovery efforts as well. So there's constant communication going on between these two groups, which is a very good way to approach the whole project, because we're all involved here. But the first thing that they did was they completed a risk analysis as the facilities and programs are opened up. But we know that as this happens, there is an increased risk in the virus spread. And a key question for council and for all of us working on this is, how much risk are we willing to assume in terms of moving ahead quickly? One of the things we find is that just because the province or other areas are lifting their restrictions and opening up their facilities, it doesn't mean that we are in the position to comply at this particular point. We have to judge our capacity and our ability to react to that opening. We certainly don't want to open prematurely before we're ready. And this makes it a challenge, because many of our communities are ready at different times. They've had different issues to deal with, and so they may be readier in some areas than others. We're certainly in that position, and I'll give you an example of that as our harbor. Of course, everyone is waiting for boating season to begin. Well, those who have boats are, and we have our slips are closed and will not be opened until July the 3rd. And the reason for that is, even though the province has declared harbors are open and marinas can operate, and all of these services that welcome voting visitors and attend to voting clients, we're just not ready yet. And the reason for that is because our harbor house that houses the electrical connections and the water supply is under reconstruction. Not totally, but just is in the progress of getting some work done. And so therefore there is no hydro to the docks at all, and no water or services to those areas. So we put a date on July the 3rd for those slips to be back in action and to be open. And we hope that that will certainly be ready. The Harbor House will be fully operational by then, with new washrooms and that kind of thing. So the boat launch is open, and that's for boats, for folks who just want to launch their boat for a day and come back in. That is certainly open now. All the barricades have been removed from areas in the parks and for facilities. Some of the facilities, no washroom facilities at all. There are some areas that are still at risk, the playgrounds and so on. But by and large, things are becoming, you know, a little more open in terms of access from the public. We have, our cottagers have returned and of course are most welcome. We still have a message, though, to all of our residents to limit unnecessary travel, to shop local, but to shop smart and with intent. And what this means is, you know, our stores are open for business. We want you to come and shop, but we also want you to be mindful that we don't want to encourage any transient or day trippers to come into the area that might be bringing with them an increased risk of the virus. You know, we're certainly very, very aware of the significant increase in community spread that is in the major cities. That was announced on the news this morning. That 75% of that increased cases in Ontario are coming from the GTHA area, including Hamilton. And this is where the day trippers come to us from. And this presents a real concern for us, and I'm sure for our neighbors and all of those of us in cottage country, because that's, many of them are not tested. They could be not have any symptoms and still be coming up here, but present a risk to us. So it's a tricky situation to be in right now, I have to say. And I know, you know, while we certainly want to get back to normal as quickly as possible, we have to do it responsibly, and we have to do it very carefully to make sure that we are indeed ready and open for business on all fronts before we welcome tourists and day trippers to come back to us. The other piece about our recovery plan and the restrictions that the province has issued is that supplies are taking weeks and sometimes months to get to us, if we get them at all. In some cases, we've all heard about the PPE challenge with having, you know, supplies turning left instead of right, and coming where they're needed. So it's not all easy moving to make sure that each community is ready to comply with a provincial order to open various recreational facilities. But with that, we have had a very good week of opening some facilities. The tennis courts are open, and the skateboard park. There are the ball diamonds and things like that that are open. We still have, we're working on an outdoor pickleball court, which we know is going to be very popular. We do not have any washrooms open, and this is affecting too the fact that day trippers coming up just have, there's nothing here for them, no amenities that can be open to provide comfort to those folks. So another reason to really, we'll welcome you back when we can, but please wait until we're really ready. What else is new in terms of the emergency management? I'm thinking, I guess mostly our recovery plan and how well it's working, and commending all of the staff and the volunteers working through the Chamber of Commerce on the work that they are doing on this recovery plan. It is not going to be easy when you start thinking about, well, it should be easy just to open up and start. Well, it isn't quite that simple. And we've discovered that as other communities have tried to open perhaps prematurely and found that, well, maybe they jumped the gun a little bit. As anxious as everyone is to have some sort of normalcy come back into our communities, I think we really do need to be very careful about being premature and about loosening up on the precautions that we have worked so hard to bring forward. And I just, if I may, on that tact, this is a comment that we hear from our group as well as we're going forward, is that it is because of the effectiveness of our community, of our residents within our community who are complying with all of the precautions that have come forward from the health unit. And the diligence of that, the people are keeping their distance, they're walking the trails, they're exercising, they are maintaining that social distance, and they're wearing masks when they can't maintain the social distance. And for that reason, we have been very, very proactive, and the success is there about the low number of cases that we've seen in our area. And that, coupled with the readiness of our institutions, our hospital, our emergency crews, our fire department, our police who are managing it, everyone who was working so hard to keep our community safe deserves such a huge commendation and a big pat in the back and a hug too, but I can. Thank
you
the.
You can't hug, Barb. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, virtually.
Now, I was going to ask you, Barb, what has the municipality done in terms of tax deadlines, tax deferrals? Some municipalities have taken that as a way of assistance. Others have allowed garbage pickup with bag tags. What's happening in Meaford? Or without bag tags, I should say.
The deferrals are till the end of June for tax payments, and to date we have had 190 people take advantage of that. So that is an assistance, obviously, to some of our folks, and we're happy to do it. We all are in this together. It will mean a significant reduction in revenue, but it is something that we believe will help our residents. In terms of our bag tags, we did have one bag tag. If folks were not able to get to suppliers of those bag tags, we would allow one bag without a tag to be picked up. But that now has changed, and we are relying on back to the original waste management services, where we pick up maximum of 3 bags of garbage, but they almost have bag tags.
So
the recycling
in that area, it's back to normal. Barb, what do you expect to be the financial hit for the town when all is said and done? Has your treasurer given you some idea of the costing so far, and what how much your I mean, we look at Toronto, and John Tory is saying we need federal help, but I hear on the other end of the scale, smaller municipalities are saying, we can get through it, and we probably won't run a deficit, but we can get through this. What's your situation?
Well, that's a very good question, and of course something that we're all very, very concerned about. We have lost revenue. We have our major sources of public revenue, aside from property taxes, are Memorial Park and Meaford Hall, and those areas are programs in the summer that have been closed. And so that is a huge hit from the revenue side. We will certainly have to bear that. But on the other hand, we have had fewer expenses. And unfortunately, because we haven't been able to complete projects and so on, we also have very healthy reserves that we can call on. And so to put a dollar figure on it, and this is not complete by any means, it's a guesstimate at this stage, we're anticipating that about the net loss or cost, if you will, for COVID-19 is about 80,000.
That's very reasonable. That's very reasonable, and sounds like it's quite manageable given the level of reserves that you've talked about in the past, and it sounds like fiscal management has been pretty good.
Well, it always has been, in well, not always, but certainly the last 10 years. And we're very proud of that. We've got a terrific crew that is looking very tight-fisted and looking after our financial end of things.
Now, the library project is on hold, is it not?
Well, no, actually, it's underway again. And the province released the restrictions on construction. So our library is underway again, as well as our new school. So we expect that the library will be have a soft opening in the fall. And then towards December, there would be a much grander full opening. So that's very exciting news.
Now, the Scarecrow invasion was canceled largely because it depends heavily on volunteers, and that was and COVID is certainly an added risk for any organization like that. But we may still be under restrictions in the fall too, so that'll be a big change for Meaford.
Yes, of course, and we just don't know what is going to happen. It's we as much as we plan and as much as we anticipate. We just have to be very resilient and ready to prepared as much as we can and ready to kind of change gears if the opportunity presents or another restriction becomes necessary. But it's we're all working together on this. It's such an amazing crew to see the process in action. It's really quite remarkable. They're all right in there with creative and constructive ideas, and I'm just so very proud of them. In terms of, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, City Hall is open or closed?
No, our offices are still closed, but we do have some activity that is now going on. We have restarted, building permits are being processed, and hard copy applications can be mailed in. I would just ask folks who are considering this to contact staff for updates to fees and so on. You can call the regular switchboard number 538-1060 to access that. But we do have construction geared up and ready to go. Our Trowbridge Street Bridge will be closed from June to November for reconstruction. So that was a project that was planned for this summer. So that allows to keep a pretty busy look to our community.
Barb, is the City Hall staff working from home, or are they working in shifts? What's the situation there?
We do have as many folks as can working from home. We do have some staff who are coming in. They're scheduled. There has been a master schedule set up by our finance department because there are things that have to be accomplished only from the office. And that is working very well. It schedules folks so that there's not more than 3 people in the office at any one time, and that at various times, people can come and go. I have to go in and sign checks, for example, and so that's at a scheduled time. But
what about the council sessions themselves, are you doing online meetings as many councils are?
We are. We have we had one on Monday. It's the virtual meeting, and it seems to be working very well. It's the agenda goes out. It was a healthy agenda this time. We have a special meeting, which is going to be unusual for us. Will be coming up on June the 1st. And that agenda is a single agenda item to receive the report from our CAO, Rob Armstrong, on the TC Energy project that we've been waiting for, that has been derailed because of the, well, first of all, I guess the extension by the Department of National Defense for commentary till the end of July. And then, of course, we were right into the emergency management, which has taken precedent.
It'll be interesting to hear that report because TC Energy is certainly a very controversial topic in many circles in the community. I was talking to, or I did hear from Chief Anaquat over at Saugeen First Nation, and they are hoping to sign a memorandum of understanding to deal with consultation. And it'll just be very interesting to see about the what has changed and what the possibilities are and the risks.
Well, of course, and that's what everyone is really interested in. We've heard a lot from our community, certain segments of the community, particularly the shoreline communities, and about the risks that they see and the concerns. And interestingly enough, there was a publication by TC Energy just last week that indicated they had paid attention to and heard the comments and the concerns of our residents, which is very welcome news. I think the CAO's report is very, very well done. I think it's comprehensive. It outlines now what our concerns are. There may be more. As we hear more from our residents and hear more from other interested parties, this will all be information for council to be taking whatever next steps are proposed. But the meeting on the 1st will be virtual, of course. We will receive here delegations. Anyone who wishes to speak, they must register though with the clerk by noon on the Monday, so that they're in the queue, if you will. So we will hear from folks. We will have an opportunity for council to ask questions of Rob about his report and raise questions if they have them themselves. So it will be a robust discussion and the first for us of a virtual public meeting.
Yes, that's the other big thing that has changed in our interactions these days. We are used to seeing people in the council chambers, but not these days. All those interactions are virtual.
That's right, and it is a different way of doing things, but I think it's something we need to get used to because now people have discovered working from home, how effective it is, or what the challenges are. And how, this is going to change the way the workday world works, I think.
That's very, very true. Yeah. Now you sit on Grey County Council as well. They're meeting virtually as well?
They are, yes. Yeah, and it's keeping to the regular schedule there. There's also a couple of committees that are meeting that way. One of them is the Committee of Management for Long-Term Care. Those committees or those meetings are virtual, and they've been working very well as well. I think it's we're all able to access the information, and we can see each other through Zoom, and I think it's working very well.
Do you think that there will be any feedback from the County Long-Term Care Committee to the report that was released yesterday from to the province by the Canadian Forces around long-term care and some of the issues?
Yes, that was certainly very upsetting and dreadful news. But I have to say that the challenges are enormous in the long-term care world. Thankfully, our long-term care situation in Grey Bruce has been very exemplary and have had no incidents within the facilities that Grey County manages. We have no incidents in our community, in a long-term care community either. However, we're very conscious of the fact that we do have a significant elderly population in our area. So it's a huge concern for us going forward. In terms of the Long-Term Care Committee of Management, this is our private institutions that this refers to. Certainly, the care and management of the process and of the long-term care system itself is a huge concern to all of us who are concerned about that.
It will be interesting to watch and see because I presume much of your work will be involved in the new county long-term care facility in Durham, which is just getting off the ground now to replace Rockwood Terrace. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very exciting process coming forward, and now that a location has been discovered and found, and we can begin working on, what's next, the logistics of it. It'll be very exciting.
Yes, it'll be. Let's just say the old proverb is still true. May you live in interesting times.
Some could wish that they not be quite so interesting. However, it is true, and it shows the resilience. It shows the determination of all those involved to do what's right, to do what we can, with the first and primary consideration being the health and safety and welfare of all of our residents.
Yes, Barb, that's very, very true. We've just got less than a minute left, so I just wanted to say thank you for all that you're doing right now in the midst of this crisis. It takes a special type of leadership to work in these crisis situations, and I want to wish you and the people in Meaford the very best, and happy Canada Day. I expect we'll probably be, if we don't talk before the end of June, we'll talk in the fall.
In the fall. Thank you so much, David, for having us and for the interesting conversations we always get into. And I wish everyone a happy Canada Day as well. Stay well, everyone.
Thank you, Barb. My guest has been Barb Clumpus, the Mayor of Meaford. I'm David Shearman. We'll talk again.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
You and me, we were always the dreamers.
Hope is back. Come share in the joy as Wild